Everybody, welcome back into Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're talking some Lafourche Parish schools with the Superintendent, Jarod Martin. Thank you so much for joining us, Jarod. Heck of a 3 years, right, run, but heck of a this year. I guess we can call this the IDA school year, but coming off of the COVID years. But we're at the end, right? We're in May now. We're about to have graduations. It's a celebratory time that a lot of people have gotten over a lot of stuff, but a lot of people are bouncing back. So it's been a heck of a school year, huh?
Absolutely. It has been a heck of a school year. I began this journey as superintendent in March of 2020. Right,
good timing.
Right. So 13 days before the governor closed school in 2020 is when my tenure as a superintendent began. So of course we got a category 4 storm on the first year that was supposed to be coming out of COVID. But looking back at this school year, not only did we have the effects of Hurricane Ida, which is what everybody remembers, but our most impacted month of COVID-related absences and illnesses was actually January of 22.
Oh, really?
In January of 22 of this year.
When Omicron, right?
When the latest variant was, I think it was Omicron, came into the area. The previous variants had not impacted the youth in a substantial way. This one didn't spare the youth. We had 2,400 students quarantining in 1 week at one period, not over the course of a month. At one time in January, I got the report that says today we've got 2,400 students home because they're having to quarantine.
Out of how many students?
Out of 14,000 students, 2,000 were home quarantining, and over 500 were positive with the virus.
Wow.
So we had a tremendously impacted year by both the hurricane and COVID. So of course, the staff, the community as a whole, you can see it on their faces.
Right.
I was just at Bayou Blue Upper Elementary. Today's day 1 of LEAP testing. And you can see it on the teachers' faces. They're wearing the weight of this school year.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. So the scores and the testing this year a little different than normal.
It is. So because our school district had a more than 20-day of consecutive days without school, we're actually eligible for a waiver of sorts in terms of accountability. And what that means is when schools go in sharp decline, you can get a label from the state. Now, these labels mean that basically your school's not making the progress it needs to, and so you're going to get additional supports. That won't happen to schools in Lafourche Parish because we were out for more than 20 days. So if a school's been identified as being CIR or UIR, meaning critical or urgent intervention required, the school's not going to progress further in that process because clearly you can attribute the lack of progress to the effects of the hurricane. And we've also gotten a waiver for this year's graduates as it relates to their ability to graduate. The tests required for these graduates are such that you take them all along the way through your high school journey. And as you and I were talking.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I used to be just one test at the end, but now if you take a class in 8th grade, you take the test right after you finish that course.
That's right. And so the overwhelming majority of our high school students, they take algebra and geometry end of course exams. Then they take English 1, English 2, biology, and American history. All of these courses have at the end of them a state test. To graduate, a student has to pass all of these tests, but biology and American history are an either-or test. So if you don't pass one, you have to pass the other. And that's not been an issue for the overwhelming majority of our graduates for years and years. This year's graduates, though, the year that they were given the biology test, which is one of the two that you've got to pass one or the other, the year that they took the biology test was 2020. They didn't take the biology test because we went home in March of 2020 and they never took the test. Then those students get back to school their junior year. They take American history. They don't take biology, so we don't give them the biology test. And if that student does not pass the American history test, they've just
That's
been
the either
painted
or,
into
right.
a trick bag.
Right.
Because it's an either-or test. If you don't pass American history, you have to pass biology. So
They
now
didn't
they're in
take
their
it.
senior year. They're not taking American history again. They're not taking biology again. So we scheduled them in American history again to expose them to the content. And remember, these are students that passed the course,
Right.
just didn't pass that state
test.
assessment. And this year's seniors are put back in that American history course. Hurricane Ida comes, and they've now got to go home in some cases for 6 or 7 weeks. Our South Lafourche students came back in October 18th, but didn't get to come back to school 5 days a week until
Right.
January,
Right.
because we were doing the every other day thing. So we applied for and got a waiver, which means that those students that have met
don't.
all of those criteria, they don't have to be held back and be prevented from graduating.
Thank goodness, right?
Absolutely.
At least these kids, what a high school career, right? The last 3 years during your career.
Absolutely. It's
but
been
yeah,
one mess after
you
another.
certainly just wouldn't have to give them one more hurdle before they take off. So it's been an incredible year. Exciting time. You got 4 schools that will be having graduations. You know, obviously South, Central, and Thibodeau, but you got another academy, a charter academy. What's it like as everybody's planning, you know, graduations? And I guess we did this a little bit last year, right?
We did, but this is the first post-pandemic graduation cycle that we're going to be able to have, and we're excited to get back to the Civic Center in Thibodeau for both Thibodeau and Central Lafourche High School. South Lafourche is a little too far of a journey to get all the way up to Thibodeau,
yeah,
so
yeah.
they've always done their ceremonies on their campus. Now, they typically use the auditorium. The auditorium is a shell
Right.
of what it used to be, so they're going to use the football field, and the Virtual Academy Lafourche is going to use Thibodeau High's auditorium, so we'll be able to get all the families back in a climate-controlled setting. We were super fortunate the last few years that we held our ceremonies outside, and we were really lucky with the weather.
You're right, right.
We
That's
had,
hit or miss.
We had phenomenal, weather events that were just beautiful, but it's too hit or miss to
Right.
do it.
Count on that.
And count on it. That's right. So we're looking forward to graduations.
Yeah, that's great. And you got to feel for those kids. And like I said, it's just been a wild ride here. What about we have talked about education as your mission, but when you throw a storm like this in there, almost construction, you need a construction management degree, you needed an estimated degree, an insurance degree. You had so many hats that weren't just education anymore. It was about making sure you got the FEMA regulations and all. How's all that infrastructure and all of that working?
We're making a lot of progress. Unfortunately, it's not the kind of progress you can see with the naked eye, because we are entering this hurricane season. The stark reality is that I do not have one roof permanently repaired in Lafourche Parish.
Wow.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
We've got tarpaulins, we've got shrink wrap, and we've got a lot of temporary fixes. But the process to get a permanent roof repaired, like South Lafourche High School, to use an example, is a long one. Architects have to design it. You go out to bid. The low bid is accepted, and then the person who put the bid in, the general contractor, has to mobilize both material and people.
Which
And
is
the one
not
thing
easy, right?
The one thing that we don't have right now
Material
is a
and
whole
people.
bunch of material and people.
Yeah.
We just received word that the contractor at South Lafourche is going to be mobilizing. In fact, I participated in an initial contractor meeting this morning. We're going to be beginning the work at South Lafourche High School's roofs rather immediately. But it is a 1-year process to repair the roof at South Lafourche High School. We also put into that roof repair package, though, both gymnasiums. So we're pressed up against a wall with volleyball and basketball season in the fall, and we're very optimistic that in October, the gymnasiums at South Lafourche High School, and again, if I walked you into that building right now, you're looking at a concrete floor, no bleachers, a shell of a building. We're going to have that ready to run with fans, bleachers, and everything by October.
Wow.
So we're going to We're going to try and run basketball season and volleyball season out of that gym, but it's a bold timeline
Right.
that requires everything to go really, really well.
Right.
And that's the same for LaRose Cutoff Middle School's gym as well. That roof package is going out. We've got a contractor on site. It's going to be about a year before the work is complete, but the gym and getting that school back in order is underway.
Well, first things first, you got to get the roofs, right?
Can't do anything below
right.
the roof until the roof
Right,
is,
because
that's
you
right.
put a temporary roof and we get another storm here, and now all the work you're doing on the floors or whatever, it
That's
would
right.
be ruined. So you could see how that would be. Almost every school, right, had some damage, right?
Every school had some damage. Many of the schools had only minor damage.
Right.
What we've learned is that schools that were built post-Hurricane Katrina to the post-Hurricane Katrina standards, very little damage. Our building codes work. And this area is sustainable moving forward, but we've got to build our buildings with hurricanes in mind. And it's obvious which ones were built to those
Is it the
standards.
Miami-Dade standard or whatever they call it?
That's correct.
Yeah. Those always seem like they do. Of course, that's more expensive, more probably tougher to build. And
It is, but in
needs more
today's
money.
world,
But, yeah, you don't
truthfully,
have to
any
build it.
building is going to be expensive. Building it to that standard at least guarantees that you're going to have a structure moving forward.
Sure. So is that what they're doing, like steel roofs at most of these schools now?
Yeah, so the standing seam metal roof, you've seen them in
Mm-hmm.
your travels. It looks like a flat metal roof, but you see these vertical standing seams on them.
Right.
They're extremely strong. And when you do the walls properly and you build a bunch of hip roofs and windows that are hurricane rated, your building can withstand a Category 4.
Sure.
Or this may even been a Category 5. I've heard it going both ways. It was ridiculously
I know when
strong.
it was coming through Galliano, it was pretty dang strong because
It's
you know
extremely
we
strong.
saw what happened at Fouchon. That wasn't very far away. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, those folks took some wind down there, and to have the schools coming back. I mean, you got to rebuild though whenever you can, right? You can't just go, well, here we are again at hurricane season. Let's not do anything. So
That's correct. And all of our schools are well on the way to being rebuilt. We've got an architect assigned to all of them, and we're very optimistic that for almost all of our students, the 22-23 school year is going to be a pretty normal one.
right, and maybe that could be a new class that you could teach some kids, and they can do FEMA or reimbursements and stuff. They can help you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All you do, like I say, it'd be nice if your mission was just education, but sometimes the physical plant takes the part. This is one of the things y'all really excelled in, I guess. A couple of years ago, because of COVID, a lot of folks were looking for an opportunity. This summer program turned into a really great thing. You're talking about 1,800 students that might be turning out for that for this summer. A good thing will continue in Lafourche Parish.
Absolutely. So we, like every school district, we received some money from the federal government, the pandemic relief money, and some of that money had to be dedicated to how you're going to address learning loss. March of 20, kids go home. They come back to school the following year to a less than stable school environment. And we spoke earlier about how this affected our high school students, which was tangible and real. But how this affected kindergartners and first graders and second graders I would argue, is even more tangible
Right.
and more real. Those formative years, when you're learning how to read, when you're learning how to write, when you're learning the basic numeracy skills, it's hard to get those years back. So our plan was to maximize our time with students by extending the school year and by making it optional and not necessarily tied to some punitive measures. Like when you and I were in school, summer school meant
Sure.
something different
Right, yeah, absolutely.
than this
Had to
thing that
catch
we're
up a little
doing
bit.
here. And I
Yeah.
will tell you, it was a hard sell for a lot of parents because I was selling summer school and
They were hearing.
our adult minds go to
Right.
what summer school is, which is something that resembles torture.
Right.
But what our summer academy has become is more like a free day camp where we have certified teachers offering opportunities for kids to excel in music, in arts, in athletics. We spend our mornings doing some light reading, some light English, introducing them to next year's math skills, and then we play. And we play games, and we have a lot of fun with the kids. We've got some STEM activities. We've partnered with people who are going to have farming activities and bring in the nitrogen cycle into the classroom lessons. So kids are going to be excited about going, and we're excited about having them. And so if you're an educator, it's an opportunity to make some additional income.
It helps them, yeah.
It helps their families to support themselves in these extraordinary inflationary times. It may fund a much-needed vacation, and for our kids, if both parents work, it gives them a place to stay actively engaged in the curriculum, to stay actively participating with their friends, and to continue to excel or learn those skills in order to excel for the upcoming school year. So when you've got an opportunity like this as a parent, for me, it would be a no-brainer.
Right.
This is an all-day camp. We provide bus transportation, we provide breakfast, we provide lunch. We even provide a T-shirt if you signed up by the deadline. I think it was about a week ago.
Were y'all still accepting?
We are absolutely going to accept new registration through May. We don't intend to turn people away.
Right.
The only reason why we encourage people to sign up early so that we can properly staff it, but we're still optimistic.
Sure.
And as long as I can staff it, we're going to accept new children.
Well, in today's world, everybody's got a complex family situation, right? Just to have daycare for those folks, free daycare. That's
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly.
So you're talking 1,400 students or 1,800 students out of, that's almost 10% of your whole population, and maybe getting more.
It is a healthy amount of kids, without a doubt. And of course, the way that this works, we don't have a high school program. Our high school students stay so busy in the summer with all of their activities.
Right.
And we have a lessening number of students as you go up in grade that are interested in spending their summers with us, right? I've got 2 students going into the 8th grade, and I've got one maybe and one hard no for the summer academy. But I will tell you that our target population for this, certainly we want to have our middle schoolers, but the target population is our young kids, like I was talking.
They can't stay home by themselves either.
Absolutely.
Right? It's
So
a great way to go.
They need a place to be, and we're happy to provide that place to be while providing this enrichment opportunity for them.
Yeah, I did see gas like $4.10 today. I was listening on the news. Diesel's up to like $5.60. Where budget-wise, where is that coming to your bus situation and all that?
Nothing about running a school system is getting cheaper,
Right.
is the short answer to your question. Nothing about building the schools back is getting cheaper. And our teacher salaries aren't keeping up with inflation. I'm very happy that on the way to your program today, I heard that the governor may increase the legislative proposed stipend from $1,500 to a $2,000 raise for our teachers, which is much needed. And we in Lafourche Parish are giving, on top of that, $2,000, May 25th, stipend thank you money is going to hit their bank accounts after this school year.
Needs to.
So we're very happy to do that because the cost of living is going up faster than I can raise their salaries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and support, food, the whole thing, so.
Absolutely.
It's really wild. But overall, like I said, school year didn't start great, but it ends pretty good, right?
It's ending better than I thought it was going to, if I'm being honest. If on October 1st you'd have told me that we'd be where we are today, I would take it.
Oh, yeah. No, I think everybody's, I don't know if our minds are playing tricks on us. It's almost like, oh, we're fine, right?
Yeah,
and
that's exactly right.
Not even a year ago, we were all kind of worried about stuff.
A resilient people.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Jarod, thanks. Congratulations on a great year. I know it wasn't easy, man. You got a lot of stuff going on. So I appreciate you spending time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more Bayou Time right after this.